You might be destroying your closest relationships, while feeling 100% sure you're the victim. That's the danger Carl Jung warned about. There is a form of projection that doesn't just protect your ego. It quietly turns you into the villain in your own story, while you feel more and more morally certain that you are right. And the uncomfortable truth is, you and I both do this. In this video, we're going to unpack the most dangerous form of projection Jung ever described, how it shows up in everyday arguments and toxic relationships, and how to recognize when it's happening in you before it costs you people you actually care about. So let's start with something simple. What is projection really? Projection is what happens when your mind takes something inside you, a fear, a desire, a trait you don't want to admit you have, and unconsciously paints it onto someone else. You don't think, I'm insecure right now. You think they're judging me. You don't think, I'm angry and I don't know what to do with it. You think everyone around me is being hostile. It's like your inner world leaks out onto the screen of other people. Now here's where Jung's warning starts. Projection by itself is a kind of basic defense system. We all do it. It's not always evil, but Jung noticed a particular kind of projection that stops being protection and starts becoming destruction. And to understand it, we need one of his most important ideas, the shadow. All the parts of you that you don't want to see, but other people feel anyway. As you listen, keep this one question in the back of your mind. What if even 1% of what I hate in them also lives in me? We'll come back to that. For now, let's look at how this shadow projection actually works. For Jung, the shadow is the part of your personality that you don't want to see. It's made of all the traits and impulses that feel unacceptable, embarrassing, shameful, or not me. Maybe it's your capacity for envy, your hunger for power, your tendency to lie when you're afraid, your laziness, your cruelty. We push these things down. We tell ourselves, I'm not like that. I would never do that. I could never be that kind of person. But of course, we can be. And this is where the most dangerous form of projection appears. The most dangerous projection is shadow projection. It's when we take these disowned, darker parts of ourselves, dump them onto someone else, and then treat our projection as if it were objective truth. Here's the basic mechanism, step by step. First, there's a trait in you that feels completely unacceptable. I must not be selfish. I must not be aggressive. I must not be controlling. Second, you repress it. You push it out of awareness. You build a self-image that says, I'm the generous one. I'm the kind one. I'm the reasonable one. Third, because that energy has to go somewhere, your psyche starts to see that exact trait everywhere out there. Suddenly, everyone else is selfish. Everyone else is controlling. Everyone else is manipulative. And fourth, your emotional reactions become huge, way bigger than the situation actually calls for. You don't just feel annoyed. You feel morally outraged. You feel disgusted. You feel like you've discovered a villain. Jung once said that projections change the world into the replica of one's own unknown face. In other words, the less you know your shadow, the more you will see it in other people. This is why shadow projection is so dangerous. When you're in it, you feel morally certain you're right, precisely when you are most wrong about the other person and most blind about yourself. Let's make this concrete. Think about someone in your life who always seems to be the injured party. They talk a lot about toxic people and narcissists. Every ex was abusive. Every boss was a monster. Every friend used them. On the surface, they're very principled. They care deeply about fairness and kindness. They hate selfishness. They hate manipulation. But watch what they actually do. They constantly interrupt others, yet accuse everyone else of never listening. They guilt-trip friends and partners when they don't get their way, but call everyone else controlling. They demand a lot of emotional labor from others, but describe other people as so needy. In conversation, they say things like, I'm just calling out your selfishness. I'm tired of being manipulated. I can see your narcissism so clearly. But the more they accuse, the less they ever look at themselves. Every disagreement becomes a courtroom. They are the prosecutor and the judge. Everyone else is on trial. From the outside, what you're seeing is not just ordinary criticism. You're seeing shadow projection. All the traits they cannot bear to acknowledge in themselves get pushed onto the people around them. And the truly tragic part? They feel like the hero in their own story. They feel more righteous the deeper into projection they go. Now maybe you immediately thought of someone in your life as I described this. A partner, a parent, a friend, a boss. But it's also worth asking, have there been moments where you slipped into this pattern? Jung's point was not, other people are terrible. His point was, we all do this when we aren't aware of our shadow. So how can you tell when you're caught in dangerous projection, or when someone is doing it to you? Quick self-test. I'm going to give you 3 warning signs of shadow projection. Notice how many of these feel uncomfortably familiar, either in you or in someone close to you. Warning sign number 1, mirror accusations. You keep accusing others of exactly what you secretly struggle with, but don't want to see. You call people selfish, but you rarely look at how much space you take up in conversations. You say, you're so manipulative, while you're using guilt, silence, or drama to get what you want. It's like you're holding up a mirror, but you're convinced you're pointing out a window. Warning sign number 2. Your intensity doesn't match reality. The reaction is way bigger than the situation. A minor boundary from a friend feels like abandonment. A simple disagreement feels like abuse. A small mistake becomes proof that someone is a terrible person. If later on, you look back and think, why did I explode like that? That gap between what happened and how you reacted is often the shadow speaking through you. Warning sign number 3, nothing ever truly resolves. No matter how much the other person explains, apologizes, or changes their behavior, your inner story about them doesn't move. You keep finding new evidence to confirm your original judgment. Every neutral event gets interpreted in the worst possible way. And if you're the one projecting, you'll notice that even when one relationship ends, the same villain keeps reappearing in new people. If you're seeing all 3 of these signs on repeat, Jung would say, this isn't just about them anymore. This is your shadow asking to be seen. So what can you actually do to withdraw your projections and start reclaiming your shadow? First, pause the certainty. The next time you feel that rush of, I know what they are, add one simple question. What part of this might be mine? Not, is everything my fault? But is there anything in this story that belongs to me? Even a few seconds of honest curiosity can crack open the projection just enough for light to get in. Second, name the trait clearly. Take a piece of paper and write down the qualities you are absolutely sure you see in the other person. Selfish, controlling, manipulative, dishonest, weak, arrogant. Then, for each one, ask, where, even in small, quiet ways, does this show up in me? Maybe you're not loudly arrogant, but you secretly feel superior to people you disagree with. Maybe you're not obviously controlling, but you use subtle guilt or silence to get your way. You're not looking for perfect symmetry, you're just looking for a point of contact. Third, own just 1 or 2%. You don't have to collapse into shame and say, I am the problem, it's all me. Jung wasn't asking for that. Start by owning a tiny fraction. I can see a small way I do this too. I recognize a bit of that in myself. That humble, honest acknowledgement is often enough to break the spell of projection. Because the moment you can see a trait in yourself, you no longer need to hunt for it obsessively in others. And finally, if someone is clearly projecting onto you, you do not have to live inside their story. You can stop arguing with their version of you. You can set boundaries. You can limit contact. You can reality check with grounded people who see you more clearly. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is quietly step out of the role their shadow has assigned you. Jung believed that withdrawing our projections is one of the hardest and most important tasks of adulthood. Because when you stop throwing your shadow onto others, you're left face to face with yourself. It's uncomfortable. It can feel like losing an illusion that kept you safe. But on the other side of that discomfort is a deeper kind of freedom. You stop turning people you love into enemies. You stop needing a villain in every story, and you begin to meet the parts of you that have been exiled for far too long. If you're starting to see your own shadow in this, don't stop here. In the next video, I break down exactly how to meet your shadow without collapsing into shame, and how to start integrating it instead of throwing it at other people. Tap that next video, and I'll walk you through it step by step.